Tonight's first guest has a hand in both of tonight's top stories, beginning with impeachment intrigue on the Hill. Let's start with a tweet from the GOP's witness during those marathon House hearings. Constitutional law professor Jonathan Turley saying, quote, "The withholding of the articles is not only facially inappropriate, it shatters the fragile rationale for the House's rush to impeach." Congressman Jim Banks of Indiana joins us. He sits on the Armed Services Committee as well. Congressman, great to see you.
Good to be with you, Mike.
So this was day 4 of Joe Biden trying to address how he would handle a subpoena from Senate Republicans. Let's listen.
What I don't want to do is play the game. He does it his whole career. Divert the attention. And that was the point I was making. I will not contribute to the notion there's any legitimacy to the notion of calling me as a witness.
So this has been going since Friday. Your reaction, Congressman?
Mike, politicians don't make a colossal flip-flop like that unless they took a poll and realized that they made one heck of a political mistake. Joe Biden understands now that he's caught between a rock and a hard place. The American people deserve to know more about Joe Biden's corrupt activities with his son, Hunter Biden, serving on the board of an energy company in Ukraine, selling access to his father in the Obama administration. That's what's got us to where we are at this point. The American people deserve to know more. And if he's subpoenaed to appear before a committee during the impeachment hearings in the Senate, Joe Biden knows that he's going to have to do that, and it's not going to go well for him or his presidential prospects.
I'm sure some on the other side would say unproven corrupt. Your colleague, Joe Kennedy of Massachusetts, is expressing some frustration.
You don't go through the first part in the House and then just tee this up for a Senate process where the guy that is going to be in charge of orchestrating the entire Senate trial has said that the whole thing is already baked and cooked and there's nothing that anybody can do about it. You don't go and do that. That makes a mockery of the entire system.
Do you have any concerns about the Senate trial?
I have concerns that all along the way, my friend Joe and Nancy Pelosi and others in the House have made this process up as it's went along. Now here they are, and the American people are laughing at how much of a joke this has become, where the leaders in the House are refusing to send the articles of impeachment to the Senate because they know this is a flimsy case. They failed fundamentally to make the case to the American people that impeachment should move forward. And now you have Nancy Pelosi, who said this was an emergency, that we need to impeach the president because of concerns of national security and the importance of upholding our democratic systems. And she's proving that all along that was a lie among many other lies by not moving forward and allowing the Senate to do their job in the next step of this process. Everyone sees through this. They see it for what it is. This is all about politics, and Nancy Pelosi's stall tactics show that once again.
I want to get to Iran. The U.S. launched some strikes over the weekend, clearly trying to send a message to the regime in Tehran. You're on the Armed Services Committee. What is your reaction?
Mike, one of the untold stories in all of this is the remarkable restraint and wisdom that President Trump has shown in our engagements with Iran ever since the day that he came to office. We replaced the failed policies of weakness and appeasement of the Obama administration through the JCPOA, through rewarding Iran for bad activities, with the maximum pressure campaign of the Trump administration, where we've shown strength every step of the way. The recent strikes on Iran have been an appropriate response to Iran's activities of late. Iran has blood on their hands, and the strikes that the administration pulled off in the last day or so have been appropriate, effective, and a reasonable response in the way that we should treat Iran moving forward.
Congressman Jim Banks of the great state of Indiana. See you back on the Hill soon, sir. Happy New Year.
Great to be with you.